Welcome to Weld School. Today we're going to go ahead and check out a aluminum pad weld, and this is a great beginner project for those of you learning aluminum. I just put out a video, aluminum butt weld, which is another great beginner project, but this is really great for repetition. I can't stress the importance of pad welds for those of you who are new in welding, whether it's stick, MIG, TIG, oxy-fuel, flux core, doesn't really matter the process, but doing pad welds is really just that repetition, learning how to keep the bead straight, trying to keep the toes straight, and then understanding everything that comes with these different processes. So here you can adjust your AC balance. This is on plate, so more penetration is fine on the DC negative side than the positive side. The cleaning action really didn't need much of it because this plate is probably it was about 3/8 of an inch thick. It was probably, 5x5, 6x6, something like that, just a scrap piece had laying around. As you saw at the beginning of the video, I said, grab a plate, a chunk of metal, or if you have some coupons that are maybe a little bit thicker, I would say at least 3/16 of an inch is, it'll help you from having to stop and wait to cool it down. Don't really highly recommend any type of quenching with aluminum, just because of possible cracking and really throwing another layer of oxide on that after I've already wiped it down with acetone and whatnot. So, but anyways, with this project, if you're learning how to do this aluminum, mess around with it a little bit. This weldment right here was actually made on a transformer rectifier. It's the Lincoln Precision TIG 275. So this thing is operating at exactly 120 cycles, or 60 cycles, 120 direction changes per second. So when you listen to the actual arc at the real-time speed, because I do put these 5 times faster and whatnot just to speed through it, but that's the sound of your typical 60 hertz. If you have access to an inverter, mess around, turn it down, turn down your frequency, turn up your frequency. You can mess with different types of waveforms. So this one would be conventional square wave, but on these inverters, they got triangular, they got conventional, they got the old school sine wave on some of these things, true square, whatever it might be, but you can mess around with them. That way you're starting to see the differences that are possible with welding AC, whether it be aluminum or magnesium, whatever. So yeah, check it out. This just trying to keep these toes straight. So there you can see, just plopping down some dimes, keeping the toe as straight as possible. When you're doing these pads, you want to make sure that you're overlapping about 1/3 to 1/2 of the previous pass. I'm not just laying down beads near each other or next to each other, but truly trying to make that overlap. Okay, pad welds are one of the best training exercises, because if you were ever really filling out a really thick V groove, it's just a series of pad welds stacked on top of each other. If we're talking about thick fillet welds, it's a series of pads stacked on top of each other. Maybe you do a single pass root followed by a 2-pass fill, a 3-pass fill, and maybe a 4-pass cap, which would be a 10-pass weldment. But essentially that's nothing more than a series of pads. So here you can see just keeping that tungsten, maybe 1/8 of an inch off that puddle, trying to bring that filler rod in at a low angle. This filler rod is a 53-56. 40-43 would work great for this project as well. It doesn't really matter. I just grabbed one. One tip is you're learning. If you want to pick a rod that's thicker, then you can probably get away with dipping and not feeding it through your fingers because it's a thicker rod. Or if you're trying to learn the motion of feeding wire, then go ahead and grab the smaller rod like a 332 and start to learn how to feed that wire into the puddle without stabbing it, stabbing your tungsten or contaminating or anything like that. So, but again, you can see this video just cranking along, trying to take different shots from different angles so you have an idea. Again, the puddle tells you everything. I don't care what the process, the puddle tells you everything. So stare at that puddle and go from there. As I mentioned, I did not quench or anything. What I would do is I'd probably do about 4 or 5 passes, and I'd stop, walk away from it for just a couple minutes just to get some of that heat out of the plate. Otherwise, this thing would have really had some flat beads by the end of it. I mean, it's just too much heat for that aluminum at some point in time. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is aluminum pad weld, great for just really getting into AC welding. So that's it.